Welcome to Chris Cook for YouTube. Today I'm going to be doing pork steaks. That's part of my dinner menu. I don't have a recipe of pork steaks online, so I decided that I would go ahead and do this to post it. So let's get started. Of course, you're going to need the pork steaks. Now, pork steaks is, to me, it's a cheaper cut of pork chops, and it comes long like a steak. Sometimes it's too long just for one serving, and you can just cut it in half, make 2 servings out of it, and it's really good. We're going to do this in gravy, so I'm going to fry it up first, then I'm going to put it in gravy to serve with my dinner. You're also going to need flour. That's what we're going to use to fry in. You'll need paprika, onion powder, garlic powder, and you'll need salt as well as onions. Now, if you don't know this, I've said this before in other recipes that I've done. If you are a Southern cook, soul food cook, or you like a lot of flavor in your food, onion powder and garlic powder in your household is a must. Most of the households of people that you see do Southern cooking, they will definitely have these 2 seasonings inside their pantry or cabinets somewhere. So make certain that if this goes on sale and you don't have it in your household, make certain that you get it, because it's a lifesaver when it comes to flavoring any kind of meats. So I'm going to go away, get my pork steaks all washed up, and I'll be right back to show you how to put this together. I'll meet you at the stove. We're going to need a little bit of cooking oil inside of the skillet. Be right back. Okay, now I know I was going to meet you at the stove, but it's something that I need to show you. Sometimes your pork steaks will come very big, and it's enough for you to make it, instead of 1 serving, you can make it 2. And I just want to show you that, like this one. This one is very big. So what you can do with something that's that big, you can make it into 2 pork steaks, and I've already seasoned these. All I have to do is to drench them over into this flour and then put them in the skillet, and you still have enough to feed your family. So sometimes you can take 3 pork steaks and turn it into 6, and that's where you're going to really be saving the money. Because say for instance, if this was which it was $4 for 2. Well, $4 for 2, if I cut them in half, then I have enough to feed 4 people. So there is a bone that runs down here most of the time. So on the ones where you have a bone running down, just cut past the bone. Okay, and I just wanted to come back and show you that, because a lot of times smaller kids, they don't eat, as much as a larger person would. So you're able to get more servings out of just it being instead of it being a 1 pork steak, now you've turned that into 2. So, and then for the larger people, of course, you can just go ahead and leave it like that. So I'm going to go ahead and dip these in flour, and I'll meet you at the stove. Be right back. Okay, now I'm at the stove and my grease is hot, and I have maybe about a half inch of cooking oil in the bottom, and this is used cooking oil. And you can use cooking oil when you're not worried about how this is going to fry up, which means that, if you were actually going to serve it fried, then you want to make your your crust on your pork steaks, you want to make it a lot more appealing to the eyes. But because we're going to put this in gravy, that's not necessary. So it doesn't matter really how they actually fry up. So you want to go ahead and put them into your cooking oil. I'm going to turn my stove up just a little bit. And you want to fry them. Now you can fry them until they're done. You can fry them until they're almost done, because they're going to get some more fry time in the skillet when you get ready to add the gravy. So just fry them up. When I get ready to flip these over, I'm going to bring you back and show you what it looks like. Then I'm going to complete the cooking process so we can start the gravy. Okay, this will take maybe about 5-6 minutes on this side, and then 5-6 minutes on the other side. And you want your heat to be medium high on your stove. You don't want it any higher than that. If that appears to be too high, you can always turn it down a little bit. But I'm going to fry this up, and I'll be right back. Okay, now it's been about 5-6 minutes on this one side, so I'm going to flip it over and let it fry up on the other side. And as I stated to you, while these look good, you can see how they're frying up. They look real good. It doesn't matter how it fries up because you're going to put it in gravy anyway. A lot of times people eat with their eyes before they actually eat. You know, they taste the food. What do I mean by that? If you've ever gone into a bakery to get, say, some type of pastry, you can look at something and you can say, oh, that really looks good. I'm going to get one of those. And then once you get it and you taste it, it can taste terrible. But we eat with our eyes first because we want to eat something that really looks good. We think that it tastes good. And then we eat, you know, with our mouth. So in that case, the reason why I said that is because you always want to keep your food looking attractive. When you sit it on the table, you don't want it all burnt up. You don't want it half done. You know, you don't want any of that. You want it to look as nice as it possibly can. But in this case, it does not matter because we're going to put this in gravy anyway. So you won't be able to see the actual fry. So you don't have to fry this up so it looks all attractive. Just fry it up enough for it to get done, and then we'll put it in gravy. Now I'll be back and show you that step. I'm going to go ahead and finish cooking up all of these pork steaks. Once I get them ready, I'll bring it back and show you how to make the gravy. I'll be right back. Okay, I want to bring you back real quick, and I want to show you this step. This is some water, okay, that I'm going to use to make my gravy. This is my leftover flour that you seen me use when I got ready to coat my coat my pork steaks. So I'm going to take about 3 heaping tablespoons of that. I have 2 cups of water. I always add a little bit of carnation milk, and the only reason why I do that is because carnation milk velvetizes. So this helps my gravy to cream up, and that's about 2 tablespoons full. And I'm going to add some Lipton. Well, this is really onion soup mix, and this is my own homemade version. I'm going to add a tablespoon of that, and I'll actually show you how to do that, how to make this on your own instead of going out doing what I used to do, and that's by the Lipton onion soup mix. Now, the reason why I'm doing this now is because I want this flour to dissolve. I'm still cooking the pork steaks. That's going to be a couple of more minutes, but I want this flour to dissolve, and I want it to dissolve without lumps being in it. So I'm making it a little bit earlier. So I'm going to sit this over here and just leave it sitting here until I get through. Now I'll bring it back when I get ready to put the onions in, saute the onions up. Then I'm going to take them out, and then we're going to be headed toward making the gravy. Okay, now I'm back, and I've cut up my onions, sliced them up. You can slice them up just about that thick. It really doesn't matter. And I'm going to go ahead and saute my onions up. I'm just breaking them loose, although the utensil is going to break them loose anyway. And all I want to do now is just to fry these up. As you can see, there's not a lot of grease in here. What I did do, though, is I left, see all of the little residue that came from me frying the pork chop. I left that in there or frying the pork steak. I left it in there because this will help to brown your gravy, and this adds more flavor to your gravy. So I'm just going to saute this up, just to saute these onions up, because you don't really want to put raw onions. You can put raw onions in your gravy, but it's better if you kind of saute them up a little bit, make them a little bit limp. So I'm going to saute these up, and once I get this sauteed up, then I'll bring you back and I'll show you how to put together the gravy. Okay, now I'm back, and you remember the flour and the water that I set over here? See it now? All of my lumps are gone. The only thing that you see is just some seasoning that's on the top. So you're going to take this, and I did pour out some of the oil. Oops, that's a onion. Just before I got ready to show you this. See, I have about 3 tablespoons left in there. That's all that I have in the skillet. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make up this gravy. Now, I can really do this one or two ways. I can put my meat back in and just pour this liquid over in here. I don't need to cook it because this liquid is going to cook. The flour that's in the liquid is going to cook as the pork steaks as they cook. Now, while I have a fried pork steak, now I'm going to have a tender pork steak, because that's what the gravy is going to do to it. It's going to help to tender it up. So I'm going to go ahead and just add a little bit of this. And you see how that thickened up real quick? Now, I just want you to see that. That's what your flour does when it mixes with your oil. It will thicken up real quick. But you don't want it really thick like this now, because this is not done. You know, I just poured it in there. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add the rest of this. You probably can hear my lawnmower in the back because my grass is being cut outside. So I'm going to go ahead and add the rest of this, which this is very thick. Now I'm going to go ahead and start to put back my pork steaks into the bottom of this pan. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this simmer for about 30 minutes. And why am I letting this simmer for about 30 minutes? Because I want this to be super tender. Super tender. Now that all of my pork steaks are back in there, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add this water to, I have some extra water sitting over here to the side. So I'm going to go ahead and add that back in. Okay. And I'm going to put another cup of water in here. Just a little bit more. But as you can see how that gravy is thickening up? But I'm going to let this simmer for about 30 minutes on low. Okay, water. I'm going to add another cup. Maybe a little bit more. Now, if you look at this, that looks like a whole lot of water. No, it's not. Because now what's going to make this gravy is not only the flour that you saw me put in the measuring cup, but what else is going to make it is the flour that was on the pork steaks. So that's going to add to it, and that's going to help to make it. Now, I did put just a little bit more salt in it, but the reason why I put more salt is because the gravy part did not have seasoning on it. So I went ahead and I put more salt in. Now I'm serving this with rice and some peas. So I have that cooking in the back, and I'm also going to do some biscuits, make some biscuits. So the next time you see it, I'll be ready to actually put it on the plate. So I'm going to put a top on this, and you only need to stir this a couple of times. You don't need to keep digging in it. All you need to do is just stir it a couple of times. So I'm going to put the top on it. I have it on low. I'm going to allow it to cook, and I'll bring you right back. This is a slow simmer. I'll bring you back in about 30 minutes and show you what this looks like. Be right back. Alrighty, now I'm back, and it's been about 30 minutes, but I have not cut it off because I wanted to wait before I cut it off and then show it to you. I really want you to look at this gravy. See how it just thickens up? Let me go ahead and cut the stove off. That's the way it's supposed to look. Now I have a plate that's sitting here on the side, and I'm going to go ahead and take 2 pieces of this meat. Look at that. I'm trying not to get a big, here's one. Oh, trying not to get a real big one. There. Okay. I'm going to put that down on the plate. Then I'm going to add some of the, look, see that gravy? That's the way your gravy is supposed to look. I'm going to add some of the gravy, a little bit of the onions. Let me put some of them up there. Okay. Now let me add some of this gravy. And I mean, that gravy looks good over that rice. Now this is going to be a very good meal. I was trying to see if I could get some more, just a few more of these onions to put over the top of that. But that's the way your gravy is supposed to end up, and that's the way it will end up. And you see it's the right color, the color of gravy and everything. And I'm going to go ahead and add one of these biscuits to this plate. There you go. Now, I'm going to cut this with the fork. Now, that's tender. When you can cut this with your fork, that is tender. And that's exactly how you want your meat to be. You want to be able to cut your meat with the fork. And what that came from is from us allowing it to sit, and when it was smothering with the gravy, when we continue to cook it and we continue to allow it to smother, that is what gave us that tenderness that we needed. So this is what Chris is having tonight. I'm having rice with gravy, pork steaks, which is a very cheap meal, peas, and biscuits. Okay? Everything was inexpensive. Everything was very easy to do. I think that if you try these pork steaks, you're truly going to enjoy them. I did not have that online, so I wanted to post it for you. And as always, thank you for watching Chris Cook for You Too. Bye.